Are you undertaking or thinking about undertaking a townhouse development in Melbourne or anywhere really? Well, stick around because in this video, I'm going to share townhouse designs and their respective prices. Let's get into it. Hey guys, Peter Kelly here from Little Fish Property Developments, helping you maximize the value of your land and generate wealth through low-risk residential development projects. On this channel, we share everything you need to deliver successful projects time and time again. So if you're new around here, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn the bell notifications on so you don't miss a thing. Now, before I lift up the hood on these Melbourne townhouse designs and prices, it is important to note that the development costs are always going to be fluid, meaning that they are fluctuating all the time relative to the greater market conditions, supply and demand, etc. So you certainly don't want to be making big decisions based solely on these numbers. These designs and price examples are purely to get you heading in the right direction. Alright, let's hook into example number 1, 262 Waterdale Road, Ivanhoe, Melbourne. This is a 3 townhouse development project. It's a corner site. Each dwelling ended up being approximately 220 square metres of land and approximately 21 squares of living. The site orientation is east to west. The site itself was zoned GRZ1. In this part of Banyule, it can be difficult to find sites with that GRZ1 tag. GRZ2 are definitely more common, and it was great that we could find this, as GRZ2 has a 40% site coverage restriction and GRZ1 doesn't. The front setback of Waterdale Road was the game changer. With the build to our north being so close to the road, it meant that we could minimise our setback, which essentially was the key to achieving 3 townhouses on this site. Before we jump into the costs, it's important to point out that not only this project, but all the selected examples, we would consider them a medium specification. So not cheap or not crazy expensive, sort of somewhere in the middle. Let's start with the early development costs. As you can see, these included the land surveying, arborist report, drafting, and town planner. This totaled $22,400. Next are the middle development costs. These include the demolition, tree removal, construction docs such as engineering, energy, planner subdivision, and some other miscellaneous costs such as insurances, council rates, etc., totaling around $58,000. Next up are the construction costs, which include the fixed price build contract, earthworks, the building permit, and the open space contribution, given that it was a 3 townhouse site, all of which came in at the total of $1,506,000. Next, the marketing costs, though the 3D renders, the on-site hoarding and graphics, and the custom design brochure. These totaled $11,500. And finally, the project management fee, which was $92,000. Example number 2 is 329 Inkerman Street, Balaclava, Melbourne. This project is a side-by-side dual occupancy design with a right-of-way at the rear. Each dwelling ended up with approximately 215 square metres of land and approximately 20 and 25 square metres of living respectively. One of the dwellings has a double garage at the rear and the other has a single garage with a car stacker for that second car space. We were able to achieve a self-contained studio above the double garage as well, which was a real bonus. Let's look at the costs. First up, the early development costs for the project. These include the land surveying, the arborist report, drafting, planning, and the town planner. This come to a total of $21,900. Next were the middle development costs, which included the demolition, construction docs, interior design, planner subdivision, and the relevant services and the miscellaneous costs, all of which totaled $74,000. Next up, the construction costs, which include the fixed price contract, earthworks, and the building permit, which totaled $1,325,000. Next, the marketing costs such as 3D renders, hoarding, and custom brochure design, totaling $11,000. And lastly, there was the project management fee of $80,000. Example number 3 is 24 Colling Avenue, Carnegie, Melbourne. This is another side-by-side dual occupancy build. Each dwelling ended up with approximately 280 square metres of land and 26 squares of living. The The site orientation was east to west. The site backs onto a reserve, so it was designed so that both the living and the master upstairs look out onto this reserve, which is a great addition. Now let's look at the costs. The early development costs included land surveying, drafting, and town planning, coming in at $19,000. Next to the middle development costs, which included the demolition, tree removal, construction documents, again with energy and engineering documentation, the plan of subdivision and relevant services, and some miscellaneous costs, all totaling $60,800. Now let's look at the construction costs for this dual occupancy townhouse design. They included the fixed price build contract, earthworks, and the building permit, totaling $1,235,000. Next to the marketing costs, so the 3D renders, hoarding, and custom brochure design, which totaled $11,000. And finally, the development's management fee of $80,000. For the final example, number 5, we have 2 Tobruk Crescent in Williamstown, Melbourne. This one is a 2 townhouse corner site, each dwelling coming with approximately 260 square metres of land and 25 squares of dwelling each. 2 townhouse corner sites are a great way to try and achieve 2 independent addresses to minimise the dual lock feel, which is what we were able to do on this occasion. In fact, each townhouse has a different street address, both with whole numbers, which is gold. Now let's look at the costs, starting with the early development costs, which include the land surveying, arborist and drafting, and the planning services, totaling $18,800. Next to the middle development costs, so the demolition, tree removal, construction docs, the plan of subdivision, and the services and some miscellaneous items, all totaling $65,000. Next, we have the construction costs, which include the fixed price build contract, earthworks, and the building permit, all totaling $875,000. Then it's the marketing costs, which include the 3D renders and hoarding and the custom brochure design, which come to a total of $12,400. And lastly, the development's project management fee for Tobruk Crescent was $82,000. Now, as mentioned off the top, it is critical that you take these numbers with a grain of salt. The market is fluid and it's always moving. These examples should get you heading in the right direction and help you understand the townhouse design and prices to deliver projects such as these in and around Melbourne's suburbia. It is also important to include contingency within your feasibilities. You don't want to be operating too close to the line. Remember Murphy's Law. If something can go wrong, it will. Things always cost more and take longer than anticipated, which is something you need to be aware of and factor in. It's also something you will get better at with more time in the saddle. That's a wrap, guys. Hopefully you're getting a ton of value from these training videos. We love making them, so if you have any questions or topics that you'd like us to tackle, please leave them in the comments box below. And of course, if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you turn the bell notifications on so you don't get left behind. I'm Peter Kelly. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy developing.